So, you're looking at a career in international business? Well, there's one skill that's going to define your success more than pretty much anything else: cross cultural literacy. You see, understanding the invisible software that runs different societies, that's not a soft skill anymore. It's your single biggest competitive advantage. Today, we're going to decode the core parts of culture and show you how they really shape business around the world. Okay, let's dive right in. But we're not going to start with some dry textbook definition. No, we're going to look at a real world blueprint for success: the city state of Singapore. This one tiny island nation is basically a masterclass in how to turn multiculturalism into a massive economic engine. Singapore's story is just so powerful because its success is completely tied to its culture. I mean, think about it. This is a country that deliberately harnessed the diversity of its Chinese, Malay, Indian, and Eurasian people. Instead of letting all those differences create friction, Singapore made its melting pot identity its core global advantage. All right, so here's the game plan. First, we're going to stick with our Singapore case study to see these ideas in action. Then, we'll break down the actual building blocks of any culture. After that, we'll look at two really critical tensions in any social structure. And finally, we'll pull it all together to show you how this knowledge gives you a serious edge in your career. So, how exactly does Singapore pull this off? Well, the country strategically leverages its unique cultural mix. By just fully embracing its identity as a crossroads of Asia, it's become this indispensable hub for global trade and finance, fluent in the cultures of both the East and the West. And this isn't just some vague idea. You can see it hardwired right into Singapore's business environment. Get this: with 4 official languages, communication is just seamless. And this approach gets real results. We're talking number 2 in the entire world for economic freedom and number 7 for its business-friendly tax policies. It's not just a multicultural society, it's a multicultural marketplace that's been engineered for global success. Okay, so using Singapore as our backdrop, let's get to the real core of it all. What exactly is culture when we're talking about it in a business context? It is so much more than just food and festivals. It's the underlying operating system of a society. The legendary researcher Geert Hofstede gave us this absolutely perfect definition. The key words here are collective programming of the mind. So you have to stop thinking of culture as an individual personality trait. It's more like a shared mental software that guides how an entire group of people sees the world and acts. And at the very heart of that programming, you've got values. These are the unspoken whys behind everything, the shared beliefs about what a society thinks is important. Is it individual freedom, or is it community harmony? These core values are the foundation that everything else is built on. Now, these values express themselves through social rules, or norms, and they basically come in 2 flavors. On one hand, you have folkways. These are the polite habits of daily life. Think about business card etiquette in Japan, or how different cultures view punctuality. If you mess these up, you might just seem a little rude or eccentric. But mores are a whole different ballgame. They have huge moral significance and are often written into law, like rules against theft. You violate these, and the consequences are going to be way more serious. So, as you can see, culture isn't just one single thing. It's this deeply complex system. It doesn't just pop up out of thin air. A society's social structure, its religion, its language, its education system, they all interact and reinforce each other, creating this unique cultural fabric. All right, let's zero in on one of the most important pieces of that social structure for anyone leading a global business: this fundamental tension between the individual and the group. Now, this is an absolutely critical distinction. In Western societies like the US, the focus is usually on individual achievement. That leads to things like high rates of entrepreneurship and people changing jobs a lot. But in contrast, many Asian societies, like Japan, put the group first. Your identity, your social status, it's all tied to your company or your team. This fosters incredible loyalty and cohesion, and it changes everything, from how you motivate a team to how you even structure a business deal. Okay, let's peel back another crucial layer of social structure. You see, all societies are organized into hierarchies or social strata, but just how rigid those layers are can have a massive impact on business. And the thing to remember here is that social stratification isn't about individual differences. It's a feature of the society itself. So for business, the key question becomes, how much social mobility is there? Can people actually move out of the social layer they were born into? Well, the answer to that question varies dramatically around the world. For a really clear example of a rigid system, we have to look at the caste system in India. Now, even though it was officially abolished way back in 1949, its legacy can still be a really powerful force, especially in rural areas. It can influence everything from what job you can get to who you can interact with. This story from an engineer at the tech giant Infosys, wow, it's so powerful. It just shows you the real-world impact these deep social structures can have, even inside a modern high-tech company. Now, progressive companies like Infosys are actively working to counteract this, but it really highlights a profound challenge in international management. Now, it's not always that rigid. Take the historical class system in Britain, for example. For decades, it created this deep-seated us versus them mentality between management and labor. And this constant friction didn't just create a tense workplace, it actively raised production costs. And that made British companies less competitive on the world stage. It had a real bottom-line impact. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground. What does this all mean for you? Why does this stuff matter? Well, to put it simply, this knowledge is your competitive edge. Being literate in culture means you can see what's happening below the surface. You can anticipate challenges, you can adapt your strategy, and you can build way stronger, more effective business relationships. This isn't just a nice-to-have skill. It is a core competency for modern leadership. Look, when you get culture, you avoid those embarrassing and really expensive mistakes. You become a better negotiator, you become a more effective manager, and you can tailor your marketing so that it actually connects with people. You don't just manage cultural differences, you actively turn them into an asset that drives your success. At the end of the day, every single international manager has to answer this question. Misunderstanding culture can be a huge liability. It can lead to failed projects and broken partnerships. But with cross-cultural literacy, it becomes your greatest asset. As you move forward in your career, that choice is going to be yours.